And I know it wasn't announced that Caitlin Clark wouldn't play until right before, but this is a preseason game where Clark is not available, and yet
You probably want to body slam me? Fine, I'll drop 21 points on you. This was essentially Sophie Cunningham's response after the Mystics rookie, Kiki Iriafen, committed a flagrant foul that could have injured the Fever's new addition.
This proves there is an agenda against the Indiana Fever. There is an attack agenda.
A preseason game that was far from friendly. The Indiana Fever showed qualities we rarely saw last season: toughness, unity, and a strong willingness to stand up for one another. Even with Caitlin Clark sidelined due to a nagging left leg injury, the Fever proved they are no longer a team to be pushed around. It marked the beginning of a new identity for the Indiana Fever, one where players like Cunningham, Hull, and Bonner made it clear they won't back down from anyone. In this video, we'll break down everything that happened: Sophie's fiery response, the Fever's intense reaction, and how the Washington Mystics handled the situation post-game after the physical play. If you stand with Indiana, comment "Spicy Sophie" below. Let's dive in.
This is the first time we're witnessing this. They're attacking Sophie Cunningham just like they did Caitlin last year. There is an agenda against this basketball team, and I'm calling it out right now. The league better step in immediately. They better step in immediately. We better not be dealing with what we dealt with last year.
When the face of your franchise sits on the sidelines, it can change everything. For the Indiana Fever, this meant facing their preseason opener against the Washington Mystics without Caitlin Clark. This wasn't just any absence. It marked Clark's first missed game in 5 years, spanning her entire college career at Iowa and her rookie WNBA season. Coach Stephanie White made the tough decision to sit out Clark, who was dealing with what she described as a little tightness in her left leg. "We need to think long-term," White explained, prioritizing the protection of her star player with a grueling season ahead, featuring 4 more games than last year. It was a smart move for the future, but it left the Fever vulnerable in the moment.
I mean, look, the biggest thing is we got to think long term. Like, we got to make sure that we're not putting Caitlin at risk for injury. We're not putting our team in a position, where we're thinking short term and not long term. It's a long season, 4 more games than last season. So we want to make sure that we're extra cautious and put her health and wellness first and foremost. And honestly, it's been one day at a time. How she's reacted to treatment, how she's reacted to workouts. So positive progress is being made, but we can't be sure.
The first quarter was brutal for Indiana. They fell behind quickly, getting outscored 24-13 as the Mystics established complete dominance. Missed layups, zero offensive flow. The Fever looked completely lost. The deficit ballooned to 15 points, and fans watching had to wonder if this game was already over before it even began.
Team came out very slow, very lethargic, very stuck in the mud, very dragging ass, didn't have energy to them, didn't have flow to them.
Picture this. The Washington Mystics, sensing weakness, came out aggressive from the opening tip. Their physical play set the tone early, pushing the Fever around and daring anyone to step up in Clark's absence. The Mystics could smell blood in the water, and for a while, it seemed like they might run away with an easy win against a Clarkless Fever squad.
Stephanie White seemed frustrated. We were down 15. Stephanie White called the timeout, and she must have stuck her foot up her team's ass and said, you see this arena? You see all these fans that came to watch you guys? 12,461 people. They didn't come to watch you guys bullshit. They didn't come to watch you guys drag ass. Let's play some defense and let's get it together offensively.
Meanwhile, an unexpected hero emerged from the shadows: Lexi Hull. Coming off the bench with energy and hustle, she began turning the tide. Hull snagged 4 steals, disrupting Washington's offense, and added 13 crucial points to keep Indiana within striking distance. Kelsey Mitchell praised Hull for doing the dirty work and bringing that spark when the team needed it most.
Lexi Hull looked the most confident I've ever seen Lexi Hull look. Lexi Hull looked the most confident I have ever seen Lexi Hull look, putting the ball on the ground, taking it to the rack, shooting threes, middies, turnaround fades. Whether they went in or not, we can get into that another day once the season starts. But the fact that she's confident enough in her game to where she's at least willing to try to do something to make the offense happen, to create points, to create confusion among the defense.
Despite all the early struggles and the double-digit deficit, the Fever showed something remarkable: resilience. The absence of their superstar became not an excuse but a challenge. Other players began to find their rhythm, the defense tightened, and suddenly, that massive lead didn't seem so insurmountable.
Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull, these two players. Sophie Cunningham gave us 21, Lexi Hull gave us 13. The Blonde Bombers is what they're calling them. We were down 15 in the first half. Why were we down 15? We cut it to within 3 at half.
How did the Fever manage to stay competitive without Clark? The answer wasn't in one player trying to replace her 20-plus points per game. It came from unexpected heroes stepping up, playing with heart, and refusing to back down from Washington's physical challenge. Little did the Mystics know that physical approach would soon backfire in dramatic fashion. As the Fever began to find their groove in the second quarter, everything changed in an instant. The game shifted dramatically when Mystics' rookie Kiki Iriafen delivered what can only be described as a body slam to Sophie Cunningham with 5 minutes left in the first half.
No, it wasn't announced that Caitlin Clark wouldn't play until right before. This is a preseason game where Clark is not available, and yet
This wasn't just a hard basketball play. It was something you'd expect to see in a wrestling ring. Cunningham, who joined Indiana this offseason in a 4-team trade, had been steadily finding her rhythm and helping to narrow Washington's lead. She was moving without the ball, creating space and causing problems for the Mystics' defense. Then came the confrontation that changed everything.
probably have 10,000 people here and a real home court advantage.
That's Sophie Cunningham. There you go. I mean, she's right there saying, don't you do that. She's telling the rookie right now.
As both players battled for a rebound, Iriafen grabbed Cunningham and violently threw her to the hardwood. The crowd gasped, and teammates on both sides froze for a split second. Then Cunningham sprang to her feet, immediately getting ready to respond.
And that's Kiki Iriafen, and I got to tell you, here we go with the smiling like you've done. I don't get it. This is the worst part of the WNBA. It is.
"You don't do that. You don't do that," Cunningham shouted, her words clear even from the broadcast. The officials quickly stepped between them, but the damage was done. They reviewed the play and assessed a flagrant foul against Iriafen, a call that, frankly, seemed lenient given how dangerous the play looked.
I mean, yikes. Kiki, the new Kennedy. A lot of people not happy. Demon Sophie, yeah, she showed up. Look at this. They're celebrating that. Okay. I mean, it's crazy. Here we go again. Here we go again. She's yelling while Kiki's laughing in her face. Never seen a rook have a vet so rattled.
But the Mystics weren't done targeting Cunningham. Later in the game, Brittany Sykes delivered another unnecessary shove, sending Cunningham crashing to the floor once again. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't basketball, it was bullying, plain and simple. A clear pattern emerged of Washington, players singling out Cunningham.
This was another one right here. This was Brittany Sykes, and DeWanna Bonner got involved in this one. She did. Little standing on business.
The bench erupted. This wasn't the same Indiana team that got pushed around last year. Dana Bonner, another veteran addition to the squad, immediately stepped in to confront Sykes, showing the new protective culture developing within the team. The message was clear: mess with one Fever player, and you mess with all of them. What's most fascinating was how these incidents transformed the entire game. The Mystics thought they were being tough, thought they were intimidating their opponent. Instead, they awakened a sleeping giant in Cunningham and unified the entire Fever team. The officials reviewed both incidents, assessed penalties, and the game resumed, but something had fundamentally changed on the court. The energy had shifted. The Fever players weren't backing down, they were fired up. Coach White later described Cunningham as a dog, basketball slang for a player with relentless fight and heart.
My God, Sophie's a dog. She just is, she's a competitor. She's versatile, so she allows us to do different things. Like, she plays with such a toughness. She's huge, and she's going to be for us all season long. But what she brings from an energy standpoint, she raises the level of play of everybody around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. I mean, her communication, everything. She's definitely an expert.
What sparked these confrontations? Was it frustration from the Mystics as their lead diminished? Was it a deliberate strategy to intimidate the Fever's new addition? Whatever Washington's plan was, it completely backfired. Rather than breaking Cunningham's spirit, they unleashed her competitive fire. Rather than intimidating the Fever, they unified them. And rather than securing a victory, they set the stage for one of the most satisfying comeback wins you could imagine. The Mystics tried to bully Sophie Cunningham, and they were about to deeply regret it. How do you respond when opponents try to physically intimidate you? Sophie Cunningham had a simple answer. Drop 21 points and lead your team to victory. That's exactly what she did following those brutal confrontations with the Mystics.
Cole gets a nice steal here, runs down the court, finds Sophie Cunningham, who pumps up the
Drawn on the drive. High arcing pass, it was too high. Cole pulls down the rebound. Here's Cunningham again. Cunningham, coast to coast.
What a first half for Sophie Cunningham.
And this is as we've clawed back after being down 15.
After getting body slammed by Kiki Iriafen, something visibly changed in Cunningham's approach. The anger in her eyes transformed into laser-like focus. You could see it in her movements, more decisive, more aggressive. She wasn't just playing basketball anymore. Schwa's making a statement. Cunningham started attacking from every angle. Mid-range jumpers, drives to the basket, and three-pointers. Her offensive arsenal was on full display. The Mystics kept trying to body her, bump her, throw her off her game. But with each physical play, Cunningham only seemed to get stronger and more determined. Her efficiency was remarkable, shooting 6 for 11 from the field, nearly 55%. At the ID free throw line, she was even better, knocking down 7 of 8 attempts for an impressive 87.5%. This wasn't just volume scoring. This was calculated, high-percentage basketball in the biggest moments.
Sophie Cunningham, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 steal in 11 minutes off the bench in the first half. Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall played a majority of this game for the Indiana Fever. And they played together a majority of the time they were in this game. Sophie Cunningham showed exactly why we brought her in here. We won that trade hands down. Hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We won the Sophie Cunningham trade.
It went beyond just putting the ball in the basket. She crashed the boards for 8 rebounds, hustled for loose balls, and played with the kind of intensity that fired up the entire team. This is exactly why Coach White called her a dog after the game. A basketball's highest compliment for a player who brings relentless fight.
Looking backdoor and got it to Cunningham.
You guys know what else we're seeing in all these videos? Movement. AB. Up there comes Kelsey around the top. There goes Lexi Hull, back door. Sophie Cunningham, back door. Lexi Hull goes back out to the corner. God forbid, folks, we are seeing things that we haven't seen at all last season.
As the fourth quarter unfolded, the Fever's comeback gained serious momentum with Cunningham at the center of their attack. The Mystics' lead evaporated. What was once a 15-point advantage had disappeared completely. The game headed to overtime, setting the stage for Cunningham's final act of revenge. In the extra period, Cunningham took complete control. Clutch. Baskets, crucial free throws. She delivered when it mattered most. The Mystics players who had tried to intimidate her earlier could only watch as she systematically dismantled their defense.
I saw Sophie Cunningham playing out of this world. Made me feel good. I saw ball movement on offense. Made me feel good. I saw no volleyball passes on. Made me feel good. I saw fight from everybody that was on the court at once. Made me. There was no 4 versus 5 when it came to fight, heart on the. We weren't lacking that today. We weren't lacking heart at all. And in case people thought this team might be lacking some heart, you got one thing coming to you. You think you're going to be pushing around Sophie Cunningham like that? Don't worry. Sophie, I got it.
White didn't hold back her praise. She raises the level of play for everyone around her as soon as she steps. Foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline, her communication, everything. She's definitely an X factor. The irony was perfect. The very player Washington targeted ended up being the primary reason for their defeat. The intimidation tactics completely backfired. Instead of breaking Cunningham, they unleashed her. How did Sophie Cunningham respond to being body slammed by Kiki Iriafen? By torching the Mystics for a game-high 21 points, grabbing 8 rebounds, and delivering the knockout blow in overtime. The message was crystal clear. You can try to bully Sophie Cunningham, but you'll regret it when she makes you pay on the scoreboard. We have people who aren't going to put up with the nonsense this year. When the final buzzer sounded at Ty Gainbridge Fieldhouse, something much bigger than a preseason win had just happened. We witnessed the birth of a completely different Indiana Fever team. Last season, this was a squad that opponents could push around. Teams would get physical and the Fever would often back down. Not anymore.
We have people that aren't going to put up with the nonsense this year. You want to try the Fever? Go ahead and try us. Go ahead and try. 1 through 5. Somebody's going to step up and get in your face. Someone's going to step up and say, you need to relax. Whether it's DeWanna Bonner here or Sophie Cunningham on the bottom of your screen. You mess with this team, we have some people that are going to stand up for themselves and stand up for others.
The most telling moment came after the game. Washington Mystics players, the same ones who delivered body slams and shoves throughout the night, refused to shake hands. They walked straight to the locker room. Why? Because they had just watched their own tactics get turned against them by a team they thought they could bully. Over 12,000 fans packed the arena, creating an electric atmosphere. The crowd erupted with every defensive stop, every made, basket, and especially when Fever players stood up for each other after those cheap shots. Sophie Cunningham noticed, calling the fans the sixth man and crediting their energy for fueling the comeback.
First and foremost, they play so hard. They play with multiple levels of effort. They're both just tough as nails. They have length. They use their length really well. Their activity level on the defensive end and offensively. I mean, they're like mirror images of one another. I mean, the way that they can cut, the way that they can spread the floor, and what they bring on the defensive end of the floor.
This was a total team transformation. Lexi Hull snatched 4 steals, diving for loose balls and disrupting passing lanes. Her defensive intensity perfectly complemented Cunningham's offensive explosion. Mitchell, Boston, Hull, and Cunningham, they all showed the new identity, taking shape right before our eyes. The veteran additions have completely changed the team's DNA. Cunningham and Dana Bonner aren't just bringing scoring and rebounding, they're bringing an attitude, a toughness, that's spreading through the entire roster. When Iran body-slammed Cunningham, notice how quickly Bonner stepped in. That didn't happen last year. We put
Sophie in position where she was running the point guard, right? We put Lexi in position at the end of the game where she was running the point guard. And so I'm thankful to have players like that who are comfortable being uncomfortable and doing what's necessary for our team to find success. I mean, that's part of, one of our core values is be selfless, and sometimes that means playing out of position. And I thought they both did a great job of that, but really like their energy and competitive spirit.
Fundamentals that made this win possible were crucial. The Fever hit an incredible 27 of 28 free throws. That's 96.4%. In close games, those points at the line become the difference between winning and losing. The defense also stepped up huge. I liked the fact that we picked up pretty much 94 feet, White said. I felt like our defense really held and gave us an opportunity to get back in the game and finish it.
I liked our aggressiveness. I liked the fact that we picked up, pretty much 94 feet, that they didn't get anything easy. I mean, it's not often that you come out with a win in games where you shoot 30% from the floor. And I felt like our defense really held, gave us an opportunity to get back in the game, gave us an opportunity to finish the game.
Fever aren't the same team that opponents pushed around last season. They're tougher, more resilient, and they've got each other's backs when things get rough. The Mystics tried to use physical intimidation as a strategy, and it completely backfired. Instead of breaking the Fever's spirit, they unified them. Instead of establishing dominance, they awakened a sleeping giant. That's why they couldn't face the Fever in the handshake line. They had just witnessed the birth of a team that won't be bullied anymore. a team that turned their own physical tactics against them.
This isn't the soft fever team that you can push around last year. That's all. Let's just push them around and bully them because nobody on that team has any to step up to us. Don't worry. We took the offseason seriously.
This preseason win showed us something truly special developing in Indiana. The Fever aren't just Caitlin Clark's team anymore. They're a group with heart, fight, and an identity built on toughness. When Clark returns to join warriors like Cunningham, Hull, and Bonner, watch out. The 2025 Fever might become the team nobody wants to face. They have scoring, defense, and now they have attitude. The message from this game couldn't be clearer. Try to bully the Indiana Fever at your own risk. They're standing up for each other. They're not backing down anymore, and they're just getting started. If you stand with Indiana, comment Spicy Sophie down below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.